Good morning. Happy Tuesday. It is episode 14, April 14th. Kind of a weird week with us with these episodes, the dates and everything. Let's get started with our pledge and our motto so we can get right into chapter 30 and see what all those voices or what that voice was that James thought he heard. See what's going on today. So here we go. See the flag over there? And here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Some of you probably have this motto memorized by now, but if not, I just put it up every day. Here we go. We are students at Peter J. Shields. We believe in kindness. We are responsible. We are persistent. We are respectful. We are bucket fillers. We drop acts of kindness into everything we do. We are Peter J. Shields. And I like that I'm really seeing and hearing about the kindness that's going on. I know I said this last week, but I talked to my dad again this week, and he still has neighbors that are offering to go shopping or do things for him, making sure he has stuff. So that's nice because he lives in Modesto, so he lives further away from me, so I can't do that for him. And so it's just nice that people and strangers are just reaching out to everybody. I hope you are receiving or doing some kindness throughout. I remember my glasses today. Yay, yesterday was kind of hard reading. I told you at the beginning, my eyes are getting old. Oh my gosh. Anyway, let's get started, shall we? Chapter 30. Remember when we ended chapter 29 yesterday, James said, I heard a voice. I heard someone shouting. So let's see what happens. They all raised their heads listening. Shh. There it is again. But the voice was too far away for them to hear what it was saying. It's a cloud man, shouted Miss Spider. I just know it's a cloud man. They're after us again. It came from above, the earthworm said, and automatically everyone looked upward. Everyone except the centipede, who still couldn't move. Ouch, they said. Help! Mercy, we're gonna catch it this time. For what they now saw swirling and twisting directly over their heads was an immense black cloud. Terrible, dangerous, thundery-looking thing that began to rumble and roar even as they were staring at it. And then, from high atop the cloud, a faraway voice came down to them once again. This time, it was very clear. On with the faucets! On with the faucets! 3 seconds later, the hole underneath of the cloud seemed to split and burst open like a paper bag, and then out came the water. They saw it coming. It was quite easy to see because it wasn't just raindrops. It wasn't raindrops at all. It was a great solid mass of water that might have been a lake or a whole ocean dropping out of the sky on top of them. And down it came, down, 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 crashing first to the seagulls and then to the peach itself, while the poor travelers shrieked with fear and groped around frantically for something to catch a hold of. The peach stem, the silk strings, anything they could find, and all the time the water came pouring and roaring down upon them, bouncing and smashing and sloshing and slashing and swashing and swirling and surging and whirling and gurgling and gushing and rushing and rushing. Oh, it was like being pinned down underneath the biggest waterfall in the world and not able to get out. They couldn't speak, they couldn't see, they couldn't breathe. And James Henry Trotter, holding on madly to one of the silk strings above this peach stem, told himself this must surely be the end of everything at last. But then, just as suddenly as it had started, the deluge stopped. They were out of it, and it was all over. The wonderful seagulls had flown right through it and had come out safely on the other side. Once again, the giant peach was sailing peacefully through the mysterious moonlit sky. I'm drowned, the old green grasshopper said, spitting out water by the pint. It's all gone right through my skin, the earthworm groaned. I always liked my skin. I always thought my skin was waterproof, but it isn't. I'm full of rain. Look at me, shouted the centipede excitedly. It washed me clean. The pain is all gone. I can move again. That's the worst news I've heard in a long time, the earthworm said. The centipede was dancing around the deck, turning somersaults in the air and singing at the top of his voice. Oh, hooray for the storm and the rain. I can move and I don't feel any pain. And now I'm a pest. I'm the biggest, the best, the marvelous pest once again. Oh, do shut up, the great grasshopper said. But look at me, cried the centipede. Look at me, I am freed, not a scratch nor a bruise nor a bleed. To his grave this fine gent they all thought they had sent, and I very nearly went. Oh, I very near went. But they sent the wrong centipede. Oh, that guy. Chapter 31. How fast we were all going all of a sudden, Ladybug said. I wonder why. I don't think the seagulls like this place any better than we do, answered James. I imagine they want to get out of it as soon as they can. But they got a bad fright in that storm we've just been through. Faster and faster flew the seagulls, skimming across the sky at a tremendous pace, the peach trailing out behind them. Cloud after cloud went by on either side, all of them ghostly white in the moonlight, and several more times during the night the travelers caught glimpses of the cloud men moving around on the tops of the clouds, working their sinister magic on the world below. Once they passed the snow machine in operation, the cloud men turning the handle, and a blizzard of snowflakes blowing out a great funnel above. They all saw huge drums that were used for making thunder, and the cloudmen beating them furiously with long hammers. They saw frost in factories and wind producers. The places where cyclones and tornadoes were manufactured and sent spinning downward on the earth. And once, deep in the hollow of large billowy cloud, they spotted something that they could only have been a cloudman's city. There were caves everywhere running into the cloud, and at the entrances to the caves, the cloudmen's wives were crouching over little stoves with frying pans in their hands, frying snowballs for their husbands. And hundreds of cloudsmen's children were frisking all about the place and shrieking with laughter and sliding down billows of the cloud in toboggans. An hour later, just before dawn, the travelers heard a soft swoosh just above their heads, and they glanced up and saw an immense gray bat-like creature swooping down on them from the dark. It circled around the peach, flipping its great wings slowly in the moonlight, staring at the travelers. Then it uttered a series of long, deep, melancholy cries and flew off again in the night. Oh, I do wish morning would come, said Miss Spider, shivering all over. Oh, it won't be long now, James answered. Look, getting lighter. It's getting lighter over there already. They all sat in silence as the sun came up slowly over the rim of the horizon for a new day. There's that bat. When I read this story, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much science you guys could just do and so much you could learn about. Thinking about the earthworm when he talked about how his skin was just soaking up the rain and all the good things that they do and all the different insects and bugs that are in this story, as well as how does weather really work, because hopefully we know there's no cloudmen. So it's just kind of, this book just lends itself to a lot of different cool stuff. So if you get bored, if you think of something, I wonder how that really, a cyclone or tornado really does get started and what goes on, research it right now. You got the time. All right, chapter 32. And when full daylight came at last, they all got to their feet and stretched their poor cramped bodies. Then the centipede, who always seemed to see things first, shouted, Look, there's land below. He's right, they cried, running to the edge of the peach and peering over. Hooray, hooray, it looks like streets and houses. But how enormous it all is. The vast city glistening early in the morning sunshine that lay spread out thousands of feet below them. And that height, the cars were like little beetles crawling along the streets. And people walking on the pavements looked no larger than tiny grains of soot. Oh, but what tremendous tall buildings, exclaimed the ladybug. I've never seen anything like it before in England. Which town do you think it is? Well, this couldn't possibly be England, the old green grasshopper said. Then where was it? Asked Miss Spider. Well, you know what those buildings are, shouted James, jumping up and down with excitement. Those are skyscrapers. So this must be America. And that, my friends, means we have crossed the Atlantic Ocean overnight. Oh, you don't mean it, they cried. It's not possible. It's incredible. It's unbelievable. Oh, I've always dreamed of going to America, the centipede cried. I had a friend once who... Oh, be quiet, said the earthworm. Who cares about your friend? The thing we've got to do right now is find out how on earth we get down to Earth. Ask James, the ladybug said. Well, I don't think it should be so difficult, James told them. All we have to do is cut loose a few seagulls. Not too many, mind you, but just enough so that the others can't quite keep us in the air. Then down we shall go slowly and gently until we reach the ground. Centipede will bite through the strings for us one at a time. Chapter 33. Far below them, In the city of New York, something like pandemonium was breaking out. A great round ball as big as a house had been sighted hovering over the sky, the very center of Manhattan. And a cry went out. It was an enormous bomb, they thought, sent over by another country to blow the whole city to smithereens. An air raid of sirens began wailing in every section, and all the radio and television programs were interrupted with announcements that the population must go down into their cellars immediately. So remember, this book was written a long time ago, before 9/11, before all this stuff. So let me see if I can find it again, because all of a sudden I'm drawing a blank. I think it was 1961, so a long time ago. So all the radio stations and televisions were interrupted with announcements. Okay, I read that, sorry. 1 million people walking the streets on their way to work looked up at the sky and saw monsters hovering above them and started running to the nearest subway entrance to take cover. Generals grabbed hold of telephones and shouted in orders to everyone they could think of. The mayor of New York called up the president of the United States down in Washington, D.C. to ask him for help, and the president, who at the moment was having breakfast in his pajamas, quickly pushed away his half-finished plate of Sugar Crisps and started pressing buttons right and left to summon the admirals and the generals, all the way across a vast stretch of America. In all 50 states, from Alaska to Florida, from Pennsylvania to Hawaii, the alarm was sounded and the word went out that the biggest bomb in the history of the world was hovering over New York City, and at any moment, it might go off. So New York City, they're talking about at the time, had 1 million people in it. Now, New York City today has millions of people in it, and a lot of the buildings and everything, so people do walk for transportation quite a lot. They use the subway, they use public transportation, because it's quite a crowded city. Although they're not so crowded right now, because they're all doing their part to be safe. So let's see what happens. I think I can get one more chapter. This is towards the end of the book, so the chapters are getting shorter. Chapter 33 was only 1 page, so let's see about chapter 34. Come on, centipede, bite through the first string, James ordered. The centipede took one of the silk strings between his teeth and bit through it. Once again, but not with angry cloudmen dangling from the end of his string this time. A single seagull went away from the rest of the flock, flying on its own. Bite another, James ordered. The centipede bit through another string. Why aren't we sinking? We are sinking. No, we're not. Yes, we are. Oh, don't forget, the peach is a lot lighter now than when we started out. It lost an awful lot of juice with all those hailstones that hit us overnight. Cut away 2 more seagulls, centipede. Ah, that's better. Here we go. Now we really are singing. Yes, this is perfect. Don't bite any more, the centipede, or we'll sink too fast. Gently does it. Yes, this is perfect. Slowly the great peach began losing its height, and buildings and streets below began coming closer and closer. Do you think we'll all get our pictures in the papers when we get down there? The ladybug asked. Oh, my goodness, I forgot to polish my boots, the centipede said. Everyone must help me polish my boots before we arrive. Oh, for heaven's sakes, said the earthworm. Can't you ever stop thinking about... But he never finished his sentence, for suddenly, whoosh, they looked up and saw a huge 4-engine plane come shooting out of the cloud and go whizzing past them, not more than 20 feet over their heads. This was actually the regular early morning passenger plane coming from New York coming into New York from Chicago. And as it went by, it sliced right through every single one of the strings. And immediately the seagulls broke away, and the enormous peach, having nothing to hold it up in the air any longer, went tumbling down toward the earth like a lump of lead. Help, said the centipede. Save us, cried Miss Spider. We are lost, cried the ladybug. This is the end, cried Golden Grasshopper. James, cried the earthworm. Do something, James. Quickly, James. I can't, cried James. I am sorry. Goodbye. Shut your eyes, everybody. It won't be long now. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where we're leaving off for today. Look at this. Tomorrow, chapter 35, 36, 37. And then 37 is kind of a long one. I think this only has 39 chapters. It does. So we'll see how far we get tomorrow. We may finish tomorrow. It might not be till Thursday. Have a great day. Be safe. Remember, we love and care about you and can't wait till we can all get back together. In the meantime, this is our new normal. We're just going to keep making it work. Hang in there, kiddos, and be safe and be kind.